I'd like to call to order the Public Improvement Commission hearing of December 3rd, 2020. The first item are our hearing minutes. At the request of the Public Improvement Commission staff, we witnessed the minutes of the PIC hearing held on November 19th, 2020. Any questions or comments on the hearing minutes? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes of November 19th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Moving on to the public hearing portion. Our first item is on a joint petition by the City of Boston Transportation Department and the City of Boston Public Works Department for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Roxbury and Dorchester, consisting of curb realignment, sidewalk, and roadway reconstruction, as well as new and relocated median islands, pedestrian ramps, street lights, storm drain infrastructure, protected bike lane infrastructure, and raised crosswalks. The locations are Massachusetts Avenue between Melnia Cass Boulevard and Columbia Road generally between Pond Street, Massachusetts Avenue, and Boston Street. This was new business on November 19th, 2020, and this is as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repair Plan, Massachusetts Avenue, Melnia Cass Boulevard to Columbia Road, 36 sheets dated November 11th, 2020.
Thank you, Chief.
Morning, John.
Good morning. How are you? Let's see. So just getting our consultant is going to throw up the plan set. While they prepare the screen there, so just for an introduction, again, my name is John Monticelli. I'm a senior engineer with the Boston Transportation Department working on this project here. I'm joined by our consultants from Tool Design Group. This is John McCarthy, who will be presenting and discussing the project. The stretch of Mass Ave is one of our worst crash corridors in the entire city for all users, drivers, people walking, people biking. What our project aims to do, and as we brought to new business 2 weeks ago, aims to make specific improvements along that corridor to address some of the most significant safety issues that we have recorded. It's only the first phase of the city's work here. There's a public works process project to come back and follow us for a variety of other things. But today we're focused on creating accessible ramps, as the chief said, adding a two-way bike facility, and building accessible bus boarding island platforms. This project, we kicked it off over a year ago, engaged in extensive community outreach, abutter discussions and engagement, and every business in the stretch of Mass Ave here. There's a lot of excitement and interest on these changes, and we're really glad to come back to you here for this public hearing. We've received a lot of feedback from advocates and community members regarding our proposed changes. So again, John McCarthy with Tool Design Group, I'll hand this over to him to do a brief walkthrough again of the project.
Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
We can, John.
Okay, great. As John mentioned, my name is John McCarthy. I'm with Tool Design Group. I'm presenting today on our 10-foot wide separated two-way bicycle facility on the west side of Massachusetts Avenue. As you see here in the map, our limits are Melnia Cass Boulevard to Columbia Road. I'm going to start with the detail sheet, since a lot of these are standard city details and we're going to be repeating them throughout the corridor. We start here with the concrete curb. This provides a separation between motor vehicles and the bicycle facility. It would be located within the stripe buffer, approximately 11.5 feet from the curb and 20 feet on center. As you see, the flex posts are mounted on those concrete curbs, providing that separation. Here we have the bullnose concrete. These will be curbs. These will be at the intersection ends for more visibility as vehicles are making turns. They can quickly identify that there's a bicycle facility there. Again, we're using all city standard details for our curb ramp improvements, sidewalk repairs, and drainage structures. Then we have 5 floating bus islands along the corridor. These essentially the bicycle facility will travel behind the floating bus island. So if we look here in the plan view, we have a 10-foot bike lane coming in, or two-way bike facility. It narrows down to 8 feet as it moves behind the floating bus stop. People boarding and alighting the bus will use this elevated crosswalk and board from the concrete floating bus island. And with that, drainage structures had to be implemented at either end to capture stormwater, so there's no ponding due to the raised crosswalk. Again, just standard city details for our drainage. And then as we get into the plan set, here we see the bullnose concrete curb end treatments, again at the intersections, and the standard concrete curbs, providing that separation with the flex posts along the corridor. Here's that floating bus island that we talked about in the detail, that raised crosswalk. In this case, we didn't need to put drainage structures in because we were able to regrade the roadway to make that drainage work. Again, we have the curb ramp separators, or the curb separators. Again, another floating bus island with regrading of the roadway, and here we see one of those new storm inlets. Some sidewalk improvements for directional crossing. Again, some curb ramp improvements for directional crossing. Floating bus islands. And again, it's a continuation of the concrete curb barriers. And then our project ends at Columbia Road. Does anyone have any questions?
Questions or comments by members of the commission?
John, this is PJ. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. John, can you just zero in on one of your floating bus islands? It doesn't matter which one. I have a couple of minor comments.
Sure.
Okay, so basically what is being constructed here is, let me make sure. Okay, so from the side of from our sidewalks, we have a raised island that is being created. Yes?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So at the two edges of your floating island, it is the bus island. Okay, that's what I'm speaking of. What virtual devices do you have to denote that you have a basic interesting island in the middle of a travel lane? What do you have? I was unable to pick that detail up in your plan sheets.
So, John, I'll jump in here. So, Para, I know that the edge of that bus platform doesn't align with the curbing as shown here. As a minimum, we'll have the MBTA bus stop signposts will be at the front and rear to demarcate that the platform is for buses or 4 passengers.
John, excuse me. Okay, this is going to be weird because both Mr. McCarthy and Mr. Monticelli both have the first name John and the second name. So I'll try not to mess this thing up. But Mr. McCarthy, could you please, since you are controlling the screen, control the pointer because this is a public meeting.
Sure.
So this way you can synchronize Mr. Monticelli's comments to Mr. McCarthy's pointer because pick either approach, and I want to understand the experience of a driver, someone in a vehicle, or a snowplow that is coming through this area where now you have introduced this it's an island you have introduced, and there's a sequence of signage that is needed in advance of the island and on the island. And I was unable to pick up what those items are in your plan sheet. So if I missed it, that's my bad. But if it is in the plan sheets, please tell me. And I'm desperately hoping that it is my bad, meaning I didn't pick it up.
No, a lot of the details are just in the sign and pavement marking sheets. So not your bad, Para. That small thing on the left there showing the bullnose with the two-tone white and black, that'll have a standard object marker sign on it. So that is one of the vertical elements there. And then again, on the platform itself, there will be the 2 signage posts for signs that say the MBTA bus stop, no stopping, kind of things like that. So those will be the same.
So Mr. Monticelli, thank you so much. And Mr. McCarthy, can you just, since you showed 34 some pages, is that detail on the island, is it somewhere within the sheets which you just showed to us?
This detail, Tara?
Yes, so the vertical devices, where is this bus stop sign?
Do you have the sign plan in this?
I
The
don't
sign-
have it in this set, no.
Okay, all right. So don't want to labor the point, but Mr. McCarthy, I hope you know what I'm trying to say. Because when you introduce any type of an island within the driving area and with
Yeah.
snow and all of that stuff, there needs to be adequate visibility. Otherwise, because Mr. Monticelli did mention that this is a very high accident corridor, and we want to make sure that all what we are doing is going to reduce accidents of one type, no, overall accidents, not just reduce one type and then have a increase in the other types. So hopefully your signage plan for the vertical devices is it conforms first of all to the manual of uniform traffic control devices and for highway design. I'm going to assume.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll make sure it's
Awesome. Thank you, John. Well, nicely done. This is an amazing project, and kudos to all of you for taking on this challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Carter.
I have one question. This is Joe Callahan from Property Management. John, if somebody's traveling on a bicycle from Columbia Road heading toward Charles River, just show me the path. How would they travel across the Melnia-Cass intersection if they're on Massachusetts Ave? Do you have a recommended path of travel?
Yes. You're talking about from here to here?
Yeah, if they're traveling from Columbia Road to, say, the Charles River,
Yeah.
and the bike lane is two lanes, two lane from Melnia-Cass to Columbia Road. What happens when they cross Melnia-Cass heading toward the Charles River? What's the planned path to travel?
John, can you just bring up the pavement marking so that we can take a look at the context? Joe, that's a great question. And the non-permanently built elements, the sheets on the pavement markings will make that clear. The transition from the two to a pair of one-ways.
Just give me 1 second, sorry.
Yeah, while John's doing that, so we did work on, we looked at the way that the signal operates here and worked within that framework of the different phasing and how the lanes are moving throughout the cycle of the signal. And then putting pavement markings and staging areas to work with that phasing so that cyclists can make the transition from the northbound two-way cycle track to the standard northbound one-way lane. Yep, there we are. So left, crossing the intersection with the Mass Ave southbound through movements, and then you'll be crossing the street with the pedestrians, crossing Mass Ave with the pedestrians there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Monticelli, this is again editorial comment for the purpose of a recorded public hearing. Mr. Monticelli, your opening comments did emphasize the fact that this is a very high accident corridor. We are all cognizant. However, I just want to acknowledge, or John acknowledge, the fact that like even this intersection of Melnia-Cass and Mass Ave, there's many challenges at this location. This project is not addressing those challenges, correct? Yes. And even between the intersections of Melnia-Cass and Columbia Road at the other end, there may be another series of challenging incidents, and all of that are not being managed, not being addressed by this project. It is just a subset of things. So we are providing multi-modality in terms of bicycle accommodations and ensuring the safety aspect, but there's still another series of challenges which needs to be addressed. Is that correct?
That's correct, Pari. Yep. Yeah, we're coming in and trying to put in a quick build scenario where we can separate out cyclists and provide a bit more of an experience for folks using the bus lines that are running down there. But Yes, between Milneacas and Newmarket, Theo Glen, there's a couple other initiatives that are coming through for lighting quality and sidewalk accessibility. We did, as part of this project, visit the way the signals work, because we had to make adjustments with that, but we did make sure that all of the pedestrian crossings are compliant and safe, and bring it up to code and things like that. So.
Thank you so much, John. Again, not to labor the point, but a brilliant project. Thank you.
Thanks, Bara. Other questions or comments? Todd or Robbie?
I believe Chester Square had raised their hand to add testimony.
Perfect. And the quick point, if folks, members of the public have an interest in testifying, feel free to either put your name in the chat or use the raise hand function on the Google platform, and I'll turn it over to the Chester Square team to provide some public comment on this.
Hi, my name is Carol Blair. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes. Carol, we can, absolutely. Yep.
Very good, thank you. Okay. I'm really excited to see this project. I actually saw the notice of the first walk, and somehow I wasn't able to attend that, and I guess I wasn't on the list. So I was just unaware of the progress on this project, and it's great. I'm really excited because I go this way on my bike and walking often, and it's a Wild West place. So I'm really pleased to see this happening. I am especially concerned about this intersection. I appreciate Paris clarifying things. It does look like it's an interim kind of situation. A specific question I would ask is how the signage and so forth communicates to the cyclist that the intention is that they will cross the street twice on separate signals. I know for myself, having grown up in an era where bicycles were not specifically provided for, I'm accustomed to finding my own way, and certainly in this space, I do the same thing. So it's unlikely that I would practice the behavior that you're expecting, unless it's really, really clear that that's going to be the safe way for me to go. So that's an important piece. I also note that this is let me say first also Island Street. I don't know if you looked at Island Street as a possible connector between Mass Ave and the Melniak Boulevard bikeway. But especially for me, because I often come from the UMass Ocean side of things toward Northampton Street. I've picked my way. I've picked many directions to avoid going around to Southampton Street and crossing Mass Ave again. I mean, it's just that would be crazy. So I'll go down one-way streets and whatever. But if it looks like it would be easy to make a bike connection between Island Street and the Melniak Boulevard, is it possible that could be made in the near future? And then one more thing I would mention. I'm president of Chester Square Neighbors. I've been working with my neighboring neighborhood associations, Worcester Square and Claremont, and we're beginning to develop and work together as a Mass Ave coalition. Together, we met, I think if we pull in St. Botolph, then we will have the gap that's represented between the protected bike lane in Back Bay and the protected bike lane that you're giving us now. And we will be very eager to talk to you about how to treat that gap. And this transition will be an important piece of that.
Carol, I appreciate all those comments. So sort of walk through. Please tell me if I'm off on them. I wonder if either John Monticelli or John McCarthy can talk about the signage and around how best to navigate this corridor in that intersection. I think Island Street is something which we would want to consider as part of the sort of broader Melniak Boulevard conversation that we're having, and how it would potentially be a path connecting in here. But I defer to John Monticelli on that. And I think we're joined by Stephanie Seskin as well. So I think that between John and Stephanie, to hear a little bit about how to think about how to connect this stretch, to your point, with the northern end of the Mass Ave work. But anyway, sorry, John, go ahead.
No, that's fine. I wanted to, okay, so the Island Street thing first, I guess, the connection for Island Street. Agreed that is an alternate route to making some of these movements. However, we do have a lot of presence of heavy trucks or sidewalk conditions and things like that. So I think it's part of the larger conversation with the Plan Newmarket planning initiative to really kind of establish, what streets are being developed and built in different ways and what type of infrastructure and safe routes can be put through there. So right now, this is kind of the most direct and safest corridor connection that we could make, kind of establishing the space with the two-way facility, having that physical separation, and then bringing you all the way right to Mass Ave. Understanding that Mass Ave and Melnia has some challenges of its own. And again, as the chief and Para both iterated, it is part of a larger thing that needs to address a handful of those all at once. The issue of the crossings, about clarity. So not seen on the PIC plans because it's mostly the construction elements. Many of the signals, we are adding bike indications so that it's clear at what point in the traffic operation of the intersection cyclists should be going southbound or northbound on the facility. So many of those intersections will have those indications where they're necessary and where the clarification is really important. Here at this intersection, again, with the challenges of this location and the size and the equipment of the signal stuff, right now what we're doing is we have these signs, and John, if you could zoom in just a little bit, you can see on the bottom two corners there, it's a panel there. Yep, the R95 indicates to cyclists to use the PED signal. So right here, the way that the pedestrian crossings operate, you would just be crossing in parallel with the pedestrians and giving that green, the paint, the skip markings, really kind of carving out a space and identifying it very clearly, very vibrantly, that's for cyclists to be in. Just giving that indication. And again, this intersection is part of a much larger conversation that, a handful of improvements are certainly needed. So. And to your point about Mass Ave, I can't comment on that one, about filling the gap between Harrison and Westland or so. But
Yeah, just leave that up.
Looking forward to it.
until they actually do
Carol, John, thank you so much. Other questions or comments from members of the public? I don't know, Todd, if we see there are other hands that are raised.
Yes, Allison Poltinas.
Allison?
Allison, you may still be muted.
Hi, good morning. I'm really interested in this, very happy to see a two-way path here. A couple of schedule questions. When will this happen? And when are you expecting work on the challenges of the Mass Ave Melnita Cass intersection?
So this project here, we're working through the next stage of design with our consultants for this. We probably won't see this implementation until sometime next summer at the earliest, just because we're working through a number of approvals and reviews and things like that. But we are working as quickly as possible to get this on the ground, knowing that it's a necessity and a real improvement. I can't speak to the improvements, the construction involved improvements of this intersection specifically, though. I'm just not a part of that project there.
Okay, because my concern would be, again, that this is great what you're doing, but will it actually put people in danger at that intersection who are feeling safe, and then all of a sudden they're in an unsafe condition? So just a little worried there. One more kudos, though. I appreciate the fact that you went out to the businesses and the community first before creating the design. That was very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Allison. Other questions or comments by members of the public?
I do not see any at this time, Chief.
Okay. Any other questions or comments by members of the commission? All right, I'll entertain a motion on the second.
I'll make a motion on a joint petition by the City of Boston Transportation Department and the City of Boston Public Works Department for the making of specific repairs in Massachusetts Avenue and Columbia Road as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, commissioners.
Moving on to our second public hearing item on a petition by Crown Castle for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit with city shadow within Harvard Avenue, a public way in Hyde Park, located generally between Everett Street and River Street. This was new business on November 19th, 2020. This is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, 42 Bow Street, Harvard Ave, Boston, Hyde Park, one sheet dated November 19th, 2020.
I want to know what happened with Herb.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name's Brian Cunningham. I'm with Crown Castle Fiber Operations, and I'll be representing Crown Castle on this project. I'm also joined today by Mike Saraceno and Anna Samashka, also from Crown Castle. I'm going to bring up the project now. Can everybody see this plan?
I can't yet, but that might just be me. I know it looks like others can't as well. If need be, Brian, I think probably Todd or I might be able to.
Let me, hold on one second and see if this...
We got it. Yep. Perfect.
Got it? Okay, great, thank you. Okay, we have an order to provide service to the City of Boston for a Boston Housing Authority location on Bow Street in Hyde Park. In order to provide that service, we're seeking approval to do a dig and place a trench and install fiber on Harvard Ave, roughly between Everett Street and River Street, from pole 1629/2 over here at this end to pole 1629/5 over at this end. The trench will be 351 feet long.
Great, Brian, thank you. And it looks like following the new business, the handhold that is going to be added is now in the furnishing zone. Is that right?
Yes, correct. We were asked to move this handhold from the, we originally had it in the street here. In the new business hearing, we were asked to move it into the furnishing zone, which we did and changed the plan.
Anything else you want to cover on this petition? Questions or comments? Oh, go ahead, Brian, sorry.
No, I don't believe so. Thank you.
All right, questions or comments by members of the commission? Todd or Robbie?
All set?
Any members of the public?
I see none.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I make a motion to approve a petition by Crown Castle for a grant of location on Harvard Avenue in Hyde Park as further read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thank you so much, Brian.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Our third public hearing item is on a petition by National Grid for a grant of location to install a gas regulator station and associated infrastructure within Seaburns Avenue, a public way in West Roxbury from Center Street to a point southeast of Brown Terrace, generally at address number 17-19. This was new business on November 19th, 2020, and this is as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Seaburns Avenue and Brown Terrace, Jamaica Plain, 5 sheets dated October 26th, 2020.
Go ahead, Peter.
Peter, you're on mute.
Better? Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Peter Nagel from National Grid. Today, National Grid would respectfully request the Commission's considering a deferral till the next hearing based on conversation with staff on the new, there were several requests at the new business hearing that we would like to close the loop on, and I feel that the 2-week time frame would be more than sufficient to meet that, meet those remaining loose ends.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Peter. Questions or comments by members of the commission? Todd or Avi?
All set?
Any members of the public?
None.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to continue this item until the December 17th PIC meeting.
I'll make a motion to continue this item to December 7th PIC hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Moving on to new business. Our one item is 256-264 Huntington Avenue, Roxbury, an earth retention license on a petition by the Huntington Theater Company.
Yes, hi, this is Jeff Gannon from Leggett McCall. Can you hear me?
We can, Jeff.
Hello, and thank you for the commission for
Hey, Jeff,
hearing us today.
real quick, before you get started, I'm going to share my screen. This is Josh Soares with Niche Engineering. If you don't mind, I'm going to just pop up
Thank you.
Absolutely.
our presentation here. Sorry, Jeff.
That's right, Josh was going to put up a rendering of the proposed condition, just so that folks have a sense of the context here.
Perfect.
While he's doing that, this project is a renovation of the historic Huntington Theater, both interior and exterior. We are putting all new mechanical, plumbing, and electrical systems in the building as part of this renovation. We are not altering the envelope itself, except for putting a small second story addition on what we call the arcade, which is the narrow piece of the building to the right, as you see here. Our team today is Brunacott Architects, and Shama Construction is the contractor, and Brunacott's sub-consultants, who I will introduce individually, the folks who will be able to take you through the details and answer any questions. Joshua Soares of Niche Engineering, Mary Hall of GZA Geotechnical, Regina Olivieri of Shama Construction, and Nareed Zuka from Brunacott. What we are asking for today, or proposing today, is a temporary supportive excavation in the sidewalk outside the building that will allow us access for utility connections and the foundations of the repair and replacement of the historic terrace on the front of the building. So unless there are questions from the commission, I will hand it off to Joshua to take you through the plans and the details. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Sure. So good morning, everyone. Chief Osgood. Again, my name is Joshua Soares with Niche Engineering. Let me progress through the presentation here. As Jeff highlighted, what you see on screen here is the proposed conditions, the plaza upgrades. And for context, just a few shots of the existing conditions. The shot taken from the southwest corner of Huntington Ave and showing the elevation and the current sidewalk conditions. So within this public right-of-way, we are proposing the installation of temporary support of excavation. The SOE will consist of steel micropiles and timber lagging. It's proposed to extend along the entire face of the building, roughly 97 feet. The SOE will be internally braced. However, portions of the SOE will extend beyond the property line and into the right-of-way. And you can see that here, this portion. And that is required in order to accommodate the installation of the underground stormwater detention tank on our side of the property beneath the sidewalk. So as far as pedestrian detours through the excavation, a CMP has been provided by Shawmut and is being coordinated with BTD for the pedestrian detours. And as far as existing utility impacts, Boston Water and Sewer has noted that there's an existing catch basin adjacent to the project site and will require a video inspection prior to construction. And also MBTA has a right-of-way within this area that we will take note of. So as far as anything technical, Mary Hall is on the line from GZA. Should anyone have any questions?
Question unrelated to this action, but in the rendering, it showed a big sign on the side of the building. Right now, that's kind of a static, just hung thing. Is this digital, or is it the intention to just continue to hang banners on the side of the building?
Two things, Amy. There will be a banner in the central portion here that is not digital. There is a blade sign which is there now, which is static. Our intention, although it's not finalized, is to make that partially digital. So that marquee, which would not overhang the public way, is not
But the thing
intended to
that's
overhang.
hunting down the side of it, that's the intention there is going to be digital?
Correct.
Okay, so not related to this item, but I think that we should have a conversation about digital stuff where it can show up, regardless of whose property it's on, just to make sure you're conforming with what we allow for digital signage.
Absolutely, and that we have not finalized that, and when we do, we'll be coming back for additional approvals in the proper ways.
Yeah, so I would just suggest that you get the rules before you submit the design, so just to know what we would allow.
Will do.
Amy, thank you for flagging that. Josh, to your point, and you might have sort of briefly covered this, but just given the proximity of E-line subway tunnels, the walls of the underpass, Symphony Hall across the streets, or all those sort of pieces, I assume all of those things have been taken sort of into consideration as part of the excavation plan that you guys are putting in place to make sure that those things, any disruption is sort of minimized of any of those assets and other things that might be in or around the right of way.
Sure. Mary, do you want to speak on that?
Sure. Yes, we definitely considered that. This system consists of drilled-in piles. We're using drilled piles versus driven piles for vibration reasons, just to keep vibrations very low. When we're looking at this section view, you'll see sort of these dashed or dotted lines very close to where the drilled-in piles are going, or some of the drilled-in piles are going. Those are actually caissons that support the existing entranceway of the theater. So those are basically being abandoned in place. When you first look at this plan, it can be a little bit discerning that you see those there, but those are being abandoned in place and don't have a future structural use. The tunnels and obviously are beyond where we're doing the work.
Yeah, and obviously the supportive excavation will be removed to a depth of 6 feet, and
Right, yeah.
anything will be abandoned in place below that.
Great, Mary, Josh, thanks so much. Other questions and comments by the members of the commission?
Mary and the project team, I feel like I'm having this awful deja vu feeling here. Did you all come in front of the PIC for any prior action with this project, or am I mixing up theaters along the Huntington Avenue corridor?
I don't believe that we have come before you.
Okay.
There was some enabling work done maybe 2 years ago in advance of this. There were utilities that came into the adjacent building, which was owned by the theater, which we moved to connect directly to the theater. There was I believe a PIC hearing and approval for the tower, which is the project adjacent to this, which we are not involved in directly, other than renting space in it when it's completed. So that may be what you recall.
Thank you, Jeffrey. It is entirely possible I'm mixing stuff up, but since you are, and since Ms. Hall is here, I think maybe they understand what is it that I'm trying to say. So the Symphony Hall across your building, are they aware of the work which you all are doing? Meaning that, Symphony Hall is extremely always concerned about, what's the word I'm looking for vibrations, okay? So there's a city-owned asset, which is the Mass Ave Bridge over Huntington Avenue. That has seen better days. It is quite functional, so we have a little bit of a concern about its ongoing structural soundness. And then also Symphony Hall, So let's start off with the Symphony Hall people. Jeffrey, have you all had any conversations with the good people at Symphony Hall for them to be mindful of the designs which Mary is shepherding?
I have not specifically, although I know that my company is doing a separate planning project with them, and so I can certainly have those discussions through that other team with them.
Jeffrey, it will be so useful for us because since the Public Improvement Commission is, let me say it correctly, since you are asking the Public Improvement Commission's permission to do this work, and if something awkward happens at Symphony Hall, they might not think favorably of us. So before the public hearing, it will be nice for you to convey to us, the commission, that you have had fertile conversations with Symphony Hall people and that they are cognizant of what is it that you are doing and that you all are receptive to the concerns Symphony Hall may have. So that is one, that's the private sector. And then Mary, I equally have concerns about the, did you say your piles, are you vibrating or you're hammering them in?
We are drilling them in. They will not be hammered in. We're drilling them in for low vibrations.
And do you have structural engineers maybe as part of your geotech team? I'm not sure. I'm just trying to find out if you all can.
Yes, and actually the gentleman, the engineer that stamped the plans does structural designs of earth support systems for contractors as his bread and butter work.
Awesome, Mary. So with that understanding, I'll try and make arrangements for you all to get a copy of our bridge inspection report of our structure. So
okay, that'd be great.
Really awkward, Mary, and you know how this happens, right? Vibration, movement, and suddenly things fall on people's head. And then when things fall on other people's head, it is I who actually get a bad headache. So, and have enough headaches as it is. So let's be mindful of some of the assets that are here. And for some strange reason, I feel like I've had this conversation at this area. Maybe there are other projects that are happening that might be impacting Symphony Hall. Anyhow, either that or I'm dreaming of all of this stuff. But excellent project. Now the sidewalk in front of your property, the city some years back, we rebuilt those sidewalks under much controversy in terms of whether it is half bricks and half. You will ensure that those sidewalks will be maintained in a state of good repair and after your construction will continue to function in a state of good repair. Jeffrey, would that be your position?
Yes, it would.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's all I have.
Yeah, all the existing furnishings and sidewalk materials disturbed through the installation of the SOE will be replaced in kind after the abandonment of the SOE.
Thank you, Joshua. Appreciate those comments.
Thanks so much, Para. Other questions or comments? Todd or Robbie?
All set?
All right. Any members of the public?
I see none.
All right. Josh, you sort of mentioned this, but 2 weeks enough time for you and for Mary and for Jeff?
I believe it is certainly for Symphony Hall. Mary, I imagine
Yes.
for the bridge as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. All right. We'll plan to see you then on December 17th.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the commission.
And that was our final item on the agenda today. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
So moved. Take care, all.